Hi and welcome to Stemettes Reactions. We're going to be starting very, very soon. Just going to wait a few more minutes, but get comfortable and we're going to have a discussion soon. Hello and welcome. How are we all doing today? Good to see you here. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Stemettes Reactions, day number 2. My name is Sarah and I'll be your host for today. For the next 2 weeks, we'll be sharing new videos each Tuesday through Friday for you to watch at your leisure over on our Zine. We welcome you to join us live at 4 p.m. to have a chat about what you've loved and what you've learned in the video you tuned into. We hope you've enjoyed your day at Stemettes Cinema, but if you missed out, you can access them via the link we'll share in the comments now. Each day of the reactions, video uploads will go up onto the Zine, and there'll be a bit of something for everyone. Different themes as well. Today the theme is exploring science, so get ready to share with us as you also hear from our panel. Thank you for tuning in and we hope you enjoyed this session. Just a bit of housekeeping before we continue. If you'd like to ask a question during the session, you're welcome to leave a comment. Please note that this session is being recorded and your comments will be saved, so please be mindful. Your full name will be displayed, and also please be kind and respectful to everyone that is live with us right now. This is a safe space for all of us to learn and be together, so please make that a mental note. Completing feedback at the end is really, really important to us so we can keep delivering sessions that serve you. So please do take some moments to fill that out for us. Great, without further ado, we'll move on to the main part of this session, which is a discussion on the topic exploring science. And we're going to hear from some of our society members as well. So we have our panelists. First up is Sinead. And Sinead is a super Stemette. She's in 6th form and she loves music and STEM. studying maths, physics, further chemistry and Spanish. Very impressive. And are you there? Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm excited to be here. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's good to see you. How's your day been going so far?
Really good. We've been quite chill in school. We're just waiting to see when we're getting off now. So hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Have you been enjoying the sun?
Yeah, it's a bit duller here now, but it was quite good earlier on today.
Great, it's good to have you with us. And we also have Isabella, who is a super Stemet. Isabella is in school and her favourite subject is maths, and in future wants to work in maths and physics or space. So hi Isabella, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for asking. It's really cool that you want to work in space in the future.
I don't know yet. It just sounds like a cool idea. I'm open to maths or physics or space. They're all just really cool things.
Definitely. I definitely agree. Thank you both of you for joining us anyway. Really, really welcome here. Okay, so we have some submissions, which is really, really exciting. And thank you so much to those of you that have sent submissions in. It's really great to see your satellite designs. You can see a couple of designs on the slide that we have here. Let's check them out. They look very, very cool. I'm loving them. All the materials and the colors, everything is great. I love that. We've even got a garden in one of those. Can you spot the garden? I can see the garden. Can you see it?
I'm not sure if I can see it.
I think it's inside the one on the left.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's quite clever. Oh, I see it.
It's a massive light.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And so, yeah, exactly. It's even important to have your outside space, even in space. So, yeah, very, very important things for a satellite. Everyone's done a really good job of those, and you should be super, super proud of yourselves. And hopefully we can come back to you when we have our first Stemettes satellite, and you can be part of the design. That would be really cool. Okay, so moving on to our discussion now. So the topic, again, is exploring science, and that is what we're focusing on today. And please do, if you have anything you wanted to contribute to the conversation, you can put it in the chat and you can get involved. So first off, we have Anne Patcross. So this STEM mode in session was with Anne Patcross, a mission and payload manager on the European Space Agency's Solar Orbiter mission. If you've not yet already, you can watch the replay and have a go at designing your own satellite, which is very, very cool. And so, what do you think are the most important steps of designing your own satellite? What do you think, Sinead?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think you should have all the basics, like the heat shield and the communication antennas and things like that, and it should be strong so it wouldn't break or anything in space. But other than that, I think it'd just be cool and as much colour as you want. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think it has to be a certain size? Do you think it has to be a certain, I guess, look? Or can it be, do you think it could be anything?
For me, I think it can be anything. They probably, like, if it was going into space, it might need to be a bit more technical, but if you're just making it for yourself, I think just go crazy. Do whatever you want.
I'd say the same, although I think maybe with shape, it probably needs to be quite aerodynamic, otherwise it might not actually get into space originally.
That's true, yeah.
I guess if you're trying to make it a cone shape, you kind of want it so the pointy bit's there, not the pointy bit there.
Yeah.
Because then it might not fly. But I think otherwise, there's no real limits to what it could look like. I think it can just look however you want it to, as long as it gets there.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
I think that's probably a quite important part, you know, for it to actually get up into space. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so actually, Isabella, I'm going to come to you with this question. So, would you want to go into space? Would you ever want to go into space?
I think it's an interesting question. I have actually thought about it over lockdown just because, well, space is cool. And I guess yes and no, as in, I mean, personally, I'm a bit scared of aeroplanes, so I don't know if I'd be I don't know if I'd still be a bit scared actually going on a rocket. So I guess from a practical aspect, perhaps not. but at the same time, yeah, because it's just cool. I mean, on Earth you have gravity affecting you all the time, and I think from a basic level, just having the experience to not have gravity would be something that I would want to see what it would be like. It would be quite cool. I guess you can't really understand the impact of gravity in our world without knowing what it's like without it, I think, because we're so used to it. But also, I guess from a perspective of not just space in general, but to the moon or Mars or something, it's quite exciting actually being able to explore almost another world, and I think that it would be something that I would want to do in the future. Maybe not because it's a bit scary to get there, but it would be really cool.
Yeah, you definitely made a good point there, actually, in terms of gravity, because we're just so used to obviously having gravity. And yeah, I don't really know what life would be like without gravity. That's quite tricky, actually. Good point. How about you, Sinead? Would you like to go into space?
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be class to see what it would be like without gravity. It'd be so strange, but it would be like an unforgettable experience. Yeah, I think I would like to go to space. Just have a look around and see.
Yeah.
Wherever.
I really want to know if the moon is actually cheese or not. You know, there's rumors.
It might be.
I want to know. So, if you had any planet you could visit, what planet would it be?
Ooh.
Are we talking about just the planet or the planet and its moons? Because then that opens the question up a bit.
A whole ton of worms. Let's go with just the planet. Just the planet. Do you have one?
I would say maybe Pluto. Does Pluto count as a planet, or are we out of the planet? I would count that, and then I realised there's not a planet anymore. In terms of actual planets in the solar system, at least, I think Mars, just because I don't know about any exoplanets off the top of my head, but I think just because out of all the planets in the solar system, Mars is the most likely that there'll be life on, and I think the only way you can properly check for life is to have a human there, because I guess you sort of know exactly what to do, whereas with a robot you have to send it all the instructions and wait, and there are delays. But I think if you just had a human there, it would be quite cool to sort of just go and explore everything. And I think also because it's quite similar to Earth, but quite different at the same time, it would be good to go there, because you would definitely be able to survive and navigate it. But at the same time, it'd be quite new because it's got features that perhaps you don't see on Earth. So yeah, probably Mars is quite cool.
I see you've thought about this. How about you, Sinead? Where would you visit?
I have to confess, I haven't given it much thought. But I think any of them would be pretty cool. Is it Saturn that has the diamonds? It rains diamonds. Or maybe that's Jupiter. Like whichever one rains diamonds, I think that would be pretty cool.
That sounds really cool.
That's a Saturn, yeah.
Yeah, Saturn's great.
Nice. And so, have any of you seen a satellite before? Have you ever seen one?
Yeah, I have. So, well, not a real satellite, but I've seen it up in the sky. So, yeah. I remember when I was a bit younger at Scouts, I was doing the astronomy badge, and one of the requirements is to see a satellite. So I remember standing in the garden trying to find it for ages. I think there's loads of satellites in the sky. You can just Google satellite finder, and then you can just find a satellite in the sky. So I think I saw a Chinese satellite just going along the sky.
Wow.
And
I need to try that.
When you see it for the first time, you think, how did I not notice it before? It's moving. It's really obvious. And then once you sort of know what they look like, and then if you're on a clear night, so don't try it in London, you'll never find them. I've tried. When I'm not at home and I look out, I know you see them because they're sort of like stars and they move quite slowly. And as soon as you see them, you know it's one. And yeah, I think it's just really cool seeing them. It's a bit weird and scary because it's a bit strange, but yeah, I've seen quite a few before, and I've seen the space station as well. That was quite cool. Just
wow, that is really cool. Wow, that's actually quite a good piece of advice or information for people that are listening in now. If you want to ever search up a satellite, then there you go. Isabella's got
I know that the space station, they have a website, so they go like spot the station, and you can go on there, and it will say where the space station is and what times you can see it passing over where you live. Although as a warning, I checked it a while ago, and it told me that I could look at it at 4 a.m. for the next week, or wait a month or wait a month and it won't be there for a month. So
Which did you choose?
I tried to look. I didn't. I'm not allowed to stay up at 4 a.m. So I just waited.
Understandable.
Yeah, that's not advisable.
I waited about a year, and then it was just too much light pollution. So if you don't live in a city, I would definitely recommend looking for it.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the next session that we had was a STEM session and an intro into nanoscience. And for this session, you gained a taster in the basic principles of nanoscience, such as what do we mean by nanoscience and what examples do we have of this. You learned about why we look at the nanoscale, why things are different at the nanoscale, and this affects surface area ratio, volume ratio, and the importance of nanoscales. So that's what we looked at in that session. And so I'm gonna put this question out there. Let's see. What is nanoscience? What's your definition of nanoscience? Would you like to take it away, Sinead?
Yeah, I think it's the study of structures and materials that are really, really tiny. They're between, it's 1 to the 10 to the minus 9 meters to 100 times 10 to the minus 9. That's the nanoscale. It's very, very tiny. We can't see it that small. But I think it's really cool the way people can work on that. And even though we can't see it at all, it's just incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely agree. And why would you say that nanoscales are important? Isabella, why would you say they're important?
I'd say just because even though they're not necessarily directly visible in our lives, they do impact it quite a bit. I would say that I remember it's a unit of GCSE chemistry, so I can remember it quite clearly, but just the way that you can do so much with it and have an impact. So I know that Buckminster fullerenes, or buckyballs for short, they're quite useful in medicine. You can put a drug inside of it and then it can travel inside the body. So I think just being able to innovate using it and create things that change lives so much is very useful. But also in terms of other things like sun cream, they are made from nanoparticles, and I think, and just in terms of reactions as well, because they're smaller in terms of volume, the surface area to volume ratios are bigger, they have a larger surface area. It also makes them quite reactive, so that then helps with chemical reactions, which then make other products which help in the modern world.
That's really, really interesting. Thank you for that. And what I know you just spoke about one now, but what are some more examples of objects that we can view in nanoscale?
There's loads of different ones you don't realise. Like a few molecules of water would be on the nanoscale. And then good time. And then like particles, like small particles of dust that we can't see.
Yeah.
And then there's some things that you think are really tiny but are too big. Like a bacteria cell would be too big. It's 1,000 nanometers, which isn't on the nanoscale. I'm trying to think of other things.
Viruses like COVID, they're on the nanoscale and always in our lives at the moment.
Yeah, that is true. And why do you think that we do this? Why do you think that we use nanoscales? And why do you think they're of great use?
I'd say just because of the large surface area to volume ratio, they have so many uses that traditional things don't really have the ability to do. So, for example, in chemical reactions, they just react so much faster than other things. I think it's impossible not to use them in some processes. But also, as I was saying earlier with the medicine, they have properties that other things don't necessarily have by being small. So they can get in the bloodstream, for example. And I think it's important that we use these, because if we don't, there's not really alternative technology available to us that we can use. So I think really looking forward, this is the way forward. And I think there are many things that will come from these discoveries and inventions.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel like it will, in the future, really be helpful. I agree. Great, thank you. And so the next session that we had as well is a career clinic. It's for mental health and mindfulness. So this was taken straight from a mental health awareness week for Stemettes Society a few weeks ago. And you joined Charisma Parkinson. She does communications She's a communications lead at GT&O Bank of America, and Emma Ashley Lyles, and she's a software engineer at Kaluza. And we learned their top tips on being mindful and how they focus on their mental health while working in STEM. From yoga to knitting, and we had the chance to find out some great top tips on how to take some time out and focus on yourself. And so, what do you do to focus on your mental health? What would you say you do, Sinead?
For me, I know it's different for everyone, but for me, I just like to completely switch off, and say if I was working on something in my room, I'd leave my room and go somewhere else and either listen to music or just watch TV and not think about the work for that set block that I have. Or even with the Stemettes, they did the meditation session, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really good, and now I've started to look at more breathing techniques and different mindfulness meditations, and I think that really helps me to switch off.
Great, thank you. How about you, Isabella? How do you focus?
I would say just making sure that I sort of schedule everything so that there is time to do some things and do other things. So I know that I just had some big exams and I always forget about them, which is weird. But I think during that amount of time, it's important to make sure that you know what's happening and that you don't have too much of rest, but you don't have too little of a rest. So for me, that meant planning in the day. Okay, so I'm going to do revision at this time. I'm going to be in the exams at this time, and then leaving time to do other things. So generally, I would find that I would do revision in the evenings, so about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, and then I just left the rest of the day free because I know that most of my classmates didn't really do that and they seemed really stressed between exams. And I think for me, the best way I forced myself to do it is I walked the long way home. So I live 10 minutes away from my school, but I would walk an hour and a half on the way home. So by forcing myself, because once you've walked about 45 minutes away, you're not going to get home for another 45 minutes. So by forcing yourself to take that break, you're not going to overwhelm yourself, and it means that when you are then doing things, your mind is completely fresh and you're not sort of burdened by other thoughts. And I think it's very important to make sure that you force yourself to stop, because otherwise you will run out.
Like it's working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And definitely being outside is really good for your mental health. Fresh air is really, really good. And so, Sinead, did you learn any tips from the videos that you will take and apply to yourself?
Yeah, I think the video was really useful. It was really good to hear different people's perspective and how they relax. I liked what I think Emma had said about imposter syndrome, about saying what people, what she said? She said how people present themselves isn't necessarily reflective of the skills that they know. They could like be bluffing their full way, like they could know just as much as you, but you feel like, oh, I know a lot less than them. But it's just about not doubting your skills and knowing that you know the knowledge, so you can put the points forward too. I thought that was really useful. I really liked what Christmas said about just making yourself laugh and complimenting yourself. Like, it sounds silly, but it actually really helps. I
definitely agree with that point as well. That was one of the main things I got away from that. It was halfway through my exams exactly, I watched that video live, and I remember just thinking and taking that for the rest of the week, and that definitely did get me through exams really well. So I would definitely recommend that to anyone watching.
Yeah, it's just like the wee small things, like they have such a big impact and you don't realise.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I was going to say as well, did you have any tips for the people watching to help with their mental health, help them focus?
I would say, just as I said earlier, really, just forcing yourself to take breaks, because doing more can, in a way, be doing less. I remember that I had a series of exams and they were quite important to me, so I worked really, really hard, and it didn't work. I ended up just getting too tired that by the time I actually got to it, I was pretty much asleep, just wasn't concentrating. So I'd say if you can force yourself to take breaks, take them, because otherwise you won't be able to concentrate. It's just not going to do you any good. So really remember, in a way, that sometimes doing less work is doing more work if you're taking breaks, just because at the end of the day, you'll not be stressed, you won't be overwhelmed. It's just kind of the best way to function and to be.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think like don't forget the value of sleep as well, because with like my exams a few weeks ago, I just stayed up really late and was trying to cram, and then like you were saying as well, I was like falling asleep, and because there was 2 exams that day, but the second one I was just gone. But then for the next set of exams, I was like, okay, I'm going to bed early for this one, and it helped. But yeah, I think it's just about finding what works for you, and like what works for someone might not work for someone else. It's just like as long as you find a way to relax, that's the most important thing.
I would say with getting to bed on time, that is really important. I remember one of my friends every evening after school, or every afternoon, she would always say to me as we were saying goodbye to each other, make sure you get enough sleep, go to bed on time. And she would say it every single day, but it did help. And I think having someone begging me to go to bed on time did help. Because you can't really change the time you wake up at for school. You have to be there at a certain time.
Yeah, that's so true.
To have this much time available before you get to school so you can get ready and everything. You can't change that, but you can change what time you go to bed at. So I'd say definitely with exams, no later than 11 o'clock. And some people thought me going to bed at that time was late, but 11 o'clock, absolute latest.
Yeah, that is a good rule.
Definitely set a bedtime. We can't be staying up too late now. But thank you so much for your time, both of you. We've now reached the end of our second day of Stemettes Reactions. So thank you for sharing your knowledge, Isabella and Sinead. And thank you all of you for attending. We hope you found it fun and useful, and you've learned some more about how we can explore science. And just some more words on feedback. Please remember to complete the feedback form and let us know how you found the session. It's really important to us, and we appreciate your honesty. And there's a link there for the form, so please do fill that out for us. We'll have some more sessions for you throughout the week at 4 p.m, so be sure to join those too. And as you access the zine for our daily uploads of the new videos, we're encouraging you to send in anything you create from the sessions you watch to us at team@stemettesfutures.org, so we can share them during the daily discussion and see what you've been up to. It'll be really, really great to see what you create and you get up to there. So anyone returning tomorrow for 4 p.m, we shall see you there for Get Building. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.